Howdy, Scott in Colorado here. I recall another story that was told by my father during World War II fighting the Germans in the European theater. Like I said before, he landed on Utah Beach after D-Day. He was part of a 5-man mortar team. They fired an 81 millimeter mortar. One day they were, I believe this was shortly after Battle of the Bulge. I believe they might have been still in Belgium, not quite crossed over into Germany yet. My dad and his team, not his team, the team he was only 19 years old, had gone into a farmhouse. It was a very nice chateau style farmhouse on a hill, beautiful area with green pastures around it, and a German Tiger tank, a Tiger II, that shot an 88 millimeter main gun, had seen them go into this house. They hadn't realized that they'd been spotted by the enemy. This 88 millimeter tank shot a 22.5 pound projectile into this farmhouse that the team had gone into. Dad was standing in between the great room and the kitchen area, the dining room area, in this 2-story farmhouse, chateau type style farmhouse. And he was standing directly underneath a huge main beam in the house. The round went through the front picture window of the farmhouse. That wasn't enough to set it off, set the high explosive charge off. But it did hit the beam directly above my father's head and then exploded and then blew out the back of the farmhouse as well. The entire chateau completely collapsed. On top of my father, the beam fell on his head, hit him in the helmet. He was wearing a great coat, this is winter, and buried him completely, as well as part of the rest of the team. Apparently there were Dad never said whether there were fatalities or not. He said that he would develop friendships with people, and then they were gone and developed new friendships with replacements, and after a while he just quit making friends, just kept to himself. So I don't know if others were killed in this or not, but Dad was buried for several hours, trapped with this beam on top of him. It actually broke the vertebrae in his neck, broke his neck. Dad would have had 3 or 4 Purple Hearts, but he never reported. I think he reported one of them once. He did have a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star, but he didn't report the other 2 or 3 injuries. One day he actually got a piece of shrapnel from a round that was in his shin, and he just pulled out his needle dose pliers, and it was apparently about 5 inches long, jagged, kind of arrow shaped, and he pulled it out of his shin with a pair of needle nose pliers and patched himself up. I said, well, Dad, didn't you want to go back to an aid station and to a hospital, get it looked at, and get it cleaned out? He says, no, I was 50, 70 miles behind enemy lines, behind the lines. So he says, no. He says, most of the time we didn't hardly know where the lines were. So it was very, very dangerous. The odds of getting killed just trying to go back to an aid station were much greater than if you just stayed put and took care of it yourself. So anyways, Dad actually broke his neck at this time. His neck hurt him for pretty much the rest of his life. Finally kind of fused, but he kind of slumped over a bit in his neck. But Dad, whenever we had a job that involved going underneath the house to work on pipes or plumbing or wiring, or something that was up in the attic that involved wiring or making mounts for shelves when I was a kid, he always sent me to do those tasks. He sent me up in those small areas or underneath the house. I never realized that Dad was extremely claustrophobic after that experience. And I can see why, because he was trapped for several hours. He apparently came to and he kept on hollering that he was alive, so they kept on digging, but it took several hours for them to dig him out. I remember I got into cave diving and was exploring new caves that people have never been in, scuba diving in these caves, and he couldn't even listen to me tell the experience of being stuck in an underwater cave and exploring a cave. He put his fingers in his ears. I thought it was funny, but in retrospect, after I heard that story, I realized that no, it's not funny. War is a terrible thing. Have a great day, guys. Catch you tomorrow.